Hello everyone, my name is Jerry D'Ambrosio, Senior Instructor with VectorVest, and I'm here to talk about the VectorVest Real-Time Derby and all the exciting new features that we've included into the tool. If there were a horse race with these 5 horses and I asked you to pick which horse would win the race, you'd have no bias to make a decision other than what the horse looks like. However, what if you knew that in the last 5 races, the first horse never won and had an average finish of 5th place. These 2 horses also never won, and the bottom horse had a respectable 2.4th place finish. The other 2 horses actually won some races and had great average finishes. You now have better information to select which horse is likely to do well in the race. At the track, you're not allowed to bet on a horse after the race starts, but what if you were allowed? Which horse would you bet on now? You'd bet on this one, right? Because you knew how well it ran in the past, and you see how well it's doing now. And this, folks, is the essence of using the real-time derby. You'll know within minutes which searches performed consistently well in the past, and at any time during the day, which searches and stocks are performing well right now. And the good news is you don't have to finish first to win. Many years ago, Dr. DeLito would run quick test after quick test, trying to determine which were the best performing searches. He would take the stocks from those searches and enter them into Yahoo. He would then check the futures the next morning to make sure they were up, and he would go through all of the stocks and pick the ones that were moving up that day. Well, as you can imagine, this was a very tedious and time-consuming process. Let's see how the Derby will dramatically speed up this process for you and much more. First thing you always want to do is consider the market. We can see that today all the major indices are down at least 1.5% on average. We have one red light in the color guard, it's in the BSR column. All of our market timing indicators here are lower on not only a day over day, but week over week basis as well. And the primary trend of the market is also down. So with this information, we establish a downward directional bias. So now we can go looking for stocks to short. If the primary wave were up, if our market timing indicators were higher week over week, and let's say we had a few green lights in the color guard, our directional bias would be bullish, and we'd go look for stocks to buy. So your stock selection always begins with market timing and market direction. So again, you always want to conduct your overall market analysis first. You'll then move right into the Derby tool. So let me first take you on a little tour of the Derby itself. On the left-hand side, we have the settings section. Notice that the analysis mode is today's Derby, which is looking at all 170 plus searches in the Derby, and it's tracking the performance of 10 stock portfolios all throughout the day. You could see that today, worst performing contra ETFs is in the lead, up 4.37%. Here are the 10 ETFs in this portfolio. You could see if I sort by ROI, that GASX and DRIP are the 2 lead stocks in this search, and if I scroll over to the right, there's the equity curve for the day as well. Not a bad looking equity curve. You always want it to go from bottom left to upper right. This one has a little more volatility than I would normally like, but a very nice performer nonetheless. So we're looking at today's Derby with all of the Derby searches for the day. If I click on this drop down arrow here, we can begin to look at all the other modes of analysis, and this, folks, is where you're able to see the historical performance of all of the searches in the tool. So if I just change the analysis mode to day trading, this is looking at the last 5 trading days. Sector peak short is the best performing search in the VectorVest program over the last 5 days, cumulatively up 6.22%, and you can see an equity curve of the 10 stock portfolios for each day. And they are, folks, theoretically 10 different stocks and 5 different quick tests, because we are looking at the last 5 trading days here. There are other modes of analysis, and if you clicked on this little button here, it gives you a really nice description of each of the modes there, each of the analysis modes. We are looking at these Derby searches and the performance of these searches from today's open. You can also change that to the prior close. The price and volume filters, the default is set to all in all, which simply means prices greater than $1 for all bullish searches, and at least prices greater than $5 on all the bearish searches. That's what all means. You can change that if you'd like. So if you were bullish on the market and are uncomfortable buying stocks, let's say less than $5, you can simply click on greater than 5, and now all of the searches in the Derby will not have stocks less than $5. Average volume, all simply means 100,000 shares at least, and that's a 50-day moving average. You can increase that to 250 or greater than 5 if you're looking for a little bit more liquidity. You can also filter out searches in the day trading mode based on any of these criteria here. So percentage of winners, if you only wanted to look for searches with more than 90% winners, you just simply check that box, and that obviously eliminates a lot of the searches here. If you wanted to be less restrictive and lower that to 80, you'd have a few more searches, and then 70, and so on. So this settings section here is customizable, folks. You can specify the minimum price, the minimum volume, and you can filter out searches based on the criteria that you see here. I'm going to get back to the Derby timing indicator. Let me move back into today's Derby mode and come up to the upper right here. We're looking at the Derby view, and this is just like the tote board, folks, of a horse race. We're able to see throughout the day not only the lead horses, but if I scroll down a little bit, maybe there are some searches down at the bottom here that aren't quite at the top of the list yet, but you can see their equity curve bars here getting larger, meaning that they're building momentum, they're picking up momentum. We know that the searches at the top are the high flyers. We may, from time to time, scroll down a little bit to identify some movers and shakers, maybe again, the ones that aren't quite at the top of the list just yet. I can also change it to the split view. And this, folks, does reinforce our directional bias for the day. In fact, if we look at all the searches, both bullish and bearish, remember from the home page on this particular day, we established a downward bias. Primary wave was down, we had a red light and the color guard, and look at this, folks. This split view here reinforces that directional bias. There is not one bullish search in the VectorVest Derby making money today. And each of these lists are sorted by percent price gain. You could see great growth stocks up at the top. It has 10 stocks, only 40% winners today, with a 0.05% loss. On the other side, we can see there are a ton of bearish searches making some really nice gains here today. I can also look at the spreadsheet view, and this, folks, is going to give us a lot more data. We're still looking at the same list of searches. We could see that at the top, Doug's Downer Supercharged is leading the way, up 4.5%. Again, if I click on it, here are the 10 stocks in that search. You can sort them by return on investment. This is calculating the percentage change in price from the open of the day to the current time. And you could see a really nice equity curve here over on the right. Doug's Downer Supercharged is up 4.5% today, and also up about 1/3% over the last 5 trading days. Cito Sinkers is up 4.32%, so it's currently in second place. But look at this, it's got a 5-day total gain of 1.99%. So remember, we talked earlier about being able to identify searches that have not only performed well in the past, but also performing well each and every day. And Cito Sinkers, folks, has been a really solid performer all day today, and it gets added points, so to speak, because it's up almost 2% over the last 5 days. In fact, at 10 a.m. this morning, I set up a quick folio of CETO sinkers. And to do that, you could just simply click on this quick folio button here. So if you wanted to track these stocks, let's say moving forward from right now, you select create quick folio and just simply open the portfolio now, and there you go. Now you're tracking the performance of all 10 stocks from 2:27 p.m. And if you wanted to track them throughout the day, here's where you can do that. So at 10 o'clock this morning, I created a quick folio of CETO sinkers, and you can see from 10 o'clock up almost 2 1/3% with 9 winners and 1 loser. If I go back to the Derby, 4.23% for the day. Again, another 2.3% from 10 o'clock this morning. You'll notice some other columns over here, some other delta columns. We have a 5-minute delta, 10-minute, 15-minute delta, up to 30-minute gain-loss delta. And this is one of the new features, new enhancements to the spreadsheet view into the Derby. Before those enhancements, before those columns, you really had to click on each search to see how well the group of stocks have been performing over, let's say, the last 5 minutes or 10 or 20. And you had to really look at the equity curve to determine that, to get that information. Well, no more. These columns here allow us to see which searches have been hot, let's say, over the last 5 minutes all the way up into 30 minutes. So the search with the greatest 5-minute gain is worst performing contra ETFs, 100% winners, 3.9% gain. And yeah, over the last 5 minutes, we could see really starting to pick up momentum, really over the last couple of minutes especially. You can sort any of these columns by simply clicking on it. So if I want to know which searches have performed the best over the last 30 minutes, there we have it, buying contra ETFs right at the top. So it's one of the best searches over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30 minutes based on their delta. If I scroll down, we get some other brand new features, and I'm so excited, folks, about this new indicator. It's called the Derby Timing Indicator. And the best way I know to explain this indicator is just simply clicking on this question mark here. It says this indicator looks at every price and volume filter in today's Derby mode. Remember, you can change the minimum price, you can change the minimum average volume to fit your investment style. It also looks at the movement of the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the VectorVest composite, along with the advanced decline ratio. These indicators are scaled from 0 to 2. Above 1 is favorable, below 1 is unfavorable. So if you look at the DTI bearish indicator, wow, 1.99. I don't think I've seen it higher than that. Can't go any higher than 2, right? But this also, folks, reinforces our bearish sentiment or bearish bias that we established first thing. Below that is the summary section. The summary section is displayed using pie charts here that help us determine the percentage of winning bearish searches compared to the percentage of winning bullish searches. And boy, does this reinforce our downward bias for the day. 96% of the bearish searches are making money. Not one bullish search today made money. 80% winning trades. So out of all the stocks in the bearish searches, 8 out of 10 are making money today. The average gain for all of the bearish searches is at 2.64%. If we look over to the bullish side, the average percentage of winners in the bullish searches is only 16%, with an average loss of 1.56. So the Derby tool provides so much more information than just stock performance. The summary section is almost like an internal timing system. By observing the percentages of bullish to bearish searches, you're able to see truly each and every day what the market is favoring. And clearly, the market is favoring bearish positions today. You can look at all searches, or given our downward directional bias for the day, let's just look at all the bearish searches. That gets rid of any bullish search in the program, so we're able just to look at the bearish ones. If you wanted to refresh, it'll keep the same percent gain loss sort intact. And you can also print this list exactly how it appears at the current time. And last thing, folks, is a little help button over on the right hand side, and there are a number of reports, videos, and quick start guides that will really help you speed up the learning curve with the VectorVest Real-Time Derby. Well, thank you folks for joining us here today. Really hope you enjoyed the VectorVest Real-Time Derby Tour.